Brandywine Creek State Park, a month after a prescribed fire, our first prescribed fire in almost 30 years in this park. We burned 16 acres of meadow and a little bit of scrub. Shrubby young tree habitat that we're trying to maintain here. We did this with the help of our Department of Agriculture friends and from forestry, the Forest Service in Delaware, and also some partners that in private land conservation around here from Delaware Nature Society and also the Flint properties. These folks all descended on here one day when we got a phone call that the weather parameters within our prescribed burn plan were right. The wind was out of the right direction, and we were able within one day to burn all 16 of these acres, and we're pretty thrilled with the results. This is a start in the meadow restoration of this large meadow complex that's part of Brandywine Creek State Park. This is shrubby St. John's wort, which is a native St. John's wort shrub. Most St. John's worts are small and herbaceous plants. This one is pretty big, and this is the only place it's known from in Delaware is in Brandywine Creek State Park. And when I got here eons ago, it was limited to a small little patch around the curve down there. But since we've started our meadow management, it has spread into the meadow. And these are some fairly older plants that were burned as part of our prescribed fire this year. And this one obviously got cooked on the outside, but some stems on the inside are fine. This little one here looks like it got fried, but I'm expecting it to see it sucker back. This one didn't look like it got touched much at all. But this is what you want in a meadow is a composite of layers. You want a variety of plants. You don't want it to all look the same. You don't want it to be all grass, but you don't want it to be all goldenrod or all blackberry. A mixed pattern of all of that is good. So having some of these guys out here is fine. It gives a little structure. The bluebirds and the field sparrows and some of the birds that like to perch on shrubs will use this. This right next to it, this little tree here is an invader. This is what everybody calls Bradford Pear. It's really a calorie pear. Probably a cross between a Bradford and a Chanticleer or an aristocrat. All these varieties of calorie pears that then breed seed. The seed are eaten by robins and starlings and then scattered across the landscape, and that's how they got here. So these little side stems are sharp tipped, and those things can be actually dangerous to your eye as well. But this does not need to be in the meadow, and this is something we're controlling. We tried to control some of them with the fire, and it looks like it was successful, but there just wasn't enough heat here to cook the bark enough to kill this plant. So we'll probably take this out with a little dab of chemical in the right spot. That's a field sparrow. That's good news. But there is a little bit of grass starting, and that's what we want. So you want a mixture. I am not against goldenrod, and I'm not against grass, but we want both, not all of one or the other. And so much of this meadow had become all dicots and dominated by goldenrod that it drove out all the species that needed grass. Fire is also a nutrient release. So it's a bit of a fertilizer release. It also, the big thing the fire does, and I can show you some examples of places where this didn't work, you actually see bare soil here. So any seeds that are in this soil are now going to get warmed by the sun and sprout, where before they had 2 inches of mowed thatch on top of them. This is no different than what they tell you to do in your yard, where you're supposed to rake the thatch up from your lawn to keep a healthy lawn. Well, in the meadow, nobody mowed that, and traditionally what happened is it burned off. You got rid of that material by burning, and then all the seeds and stuff that are here and the plants that would not sprout because they're smothered by that stuff now can sprout. Now the problem is the good ones sprout and the bad ones sprout. So you want mostly good ones in your meadow to begin with, and since we're at the beginning of the restoration here, there are things that we don't want, but over time we'll thin them out and we'll favor the good ones and not favor the bad ones, and over time there'll be that kind of change. You know, one of the things I would love to have here, because this is our biggest meadow complex in any of our state parks here at Brandywine, is bobolink. If we get bobolink nesting here, that would be really cool. I mean, we already have eastern meadowlark. We heard the field sparrow earlier. We've got grasshopper sparrows that nest here. I expect grasshopper sparrow to come to this burn site. They're here already. We have an American kestrel that's been nesting here for years that hunts these meadows. We had a northern harrier that was out here hunting the day we were burning. So this is all this is why we maintain meadows. Those species depend upon these grasslands or other wetlands along the coast, or else they don't exist. They don't exist in forests. And these are among the rarest birds in the eastern US today. So we've got to maintain this, and our easiest tool to do that is fire. You can't keep a meadow simply by mowing it. You can, it'll look like a meadow, but it won't have all the components that you have if you do burning. The first element, which is really not apparent here, is grass. And there's many species of grass. Most of them are European, but there are some native grasses also in North America. The farther west you go, the more natives there are. But these are the species that use these are adapted to them. We need more grass. This meadow in this particular area is almost 100% forbs, dominated by goldenrod. But here's a little clump of grass mixed in. You can see there's more, and I think the more we burn, combine mowing with burning, because I don't see us burning this area again for about 3 years. The more we combine all of this, the grass component will catch up, get to be about 50-50. I'd like some areas where it's 90% grass. I'd like some areas where it's 50% grass. You want to have that sort of mosaic, and then all the species that use these open spaces will have their sites to choose from. They're partitioned. They don't all use the same. But this should not be part of it. We're not going to allow Bradford pears to become part of this meadow.
So we've got Oriental Bittersweet. It's an invasive vine from Asia, and it's planted here. Used for crafts a lot. The vines make real nice wreaths, and they have these real bright red berries with like yellow on them, and they're very pretty. People use them all over the place, but again, it's a bird spread. Anything that has berries, the birds will eat and then spread all over the place. So then we get the Oriental Bittersweet in the fields and in the forests, where it's going up the trees or just creating tangles along the ground. So this is one of the things that the fire has actually helped to control. You can see it's resprouting. The roots haven't been affected by the fire. But where this used to be a huge tangled mess, now it's something really small and easily controlled. So we can come back through this burn unit and use very minimal chemical just to take out these different little vines. This is one of the one of the roots here from it. One of the distinctive features of this vine has bright carrot orange roots, and these can spread underground yards and yards away from the original plant. So even if you've just got one little plant here, these could all be connected to the same root system. So this will be a much easier meadow to manage now that it has been burned.
Right here, what we're looking at is a swath of Japanese honeysuckle that was missed by the fire. So this area was probably covered with honeysuckle, and the fire got most of it.
And in this case, I think deer actually helped us. And that's an unusual statement for me. Deer don't help us very often. But deer were browsing this plant. I think it weakened it enough that when the fire came through, we don't see this one sprouting. And this is an autumn olive that I think has met its maker. And right next to it, we got a bed straw that's going crazy. And it will be blooming here soon. Bed straws, a lot of them are annuals, some of them are perennials, but I think most of them are annual, little successional native, most of them are native, that spread from open disturbed areas. And this fire is a recent disturbance, so it's liking it. And also remember the nutrient release. This is probably a seed that we exposed to the perfect conditions. Sunlight, water, nutrients, boom. You got about a foot of growth here in a month. And in the 18 years I've been in this state park, this meadow has never been burned And this is what this thatch buildup looks like. I mean, you have to dig through inches of this stuff. It's almost like having hay scattered on your field before you hit mineral soil, where the fire gets rid of all of this stuff and opens that up, and this will start being a healthier meadow, and you can really see the contrast. This is why an occasional fire, maybe twice a decade, is important to get rid of this thatch and expose the mineral soil so this stuff so things can sprout here again. And when you do just winter mowing, this is when you get all this woody stuff out here and these big stumps, and that's what tears up their mowers. So we want to avoid that, open up the meadow to more wildflower components, and get rid of this thatch. And that's what the fire can do for us all at once. We're on the edge of a steep drop off down to Wilson's Run, a tributary of Brandywine Creek. Hear that guy? That's a prairie warbler. That's what we're looking to, that's what we want to breed in here. And that is also white-eyed vireo, the other one that's doing the choo-choo. And this little area used to be mowed in the early days of the park as virtual lawn, but it was so steep and dangerous they really quit mowing it, and it's grown up in this mess, a combination of Bradford Pear. All this really gray-green plant is autumn olive that you see along here. And so we've actually tried to we want to designate this area as shrub-scrub habitat. It's not meadow, but it's not forest. But to do that, you've got to start the succession over again. Looks like this autumn olive, actually the fire did sort of kill it. And once we open this up and it gets a little more grassy, that'll provide the fuel to allow us to cook the shrubs. And here, instead of burning every 3 years or so, you might want to disturb this once a decade. And it's going to be patchy. So it's okay to have a few trees, but you also want some open spots and you want a lot of shrubs. Right now I'm hearing prairie warbler and white-eyed vireo. We know we've had blue grosbeaks and other sort of shrub-scrub, willow flycatcher and other shrub-scrub species that nest and sing in this area, and we want to try to maintain that. And if they don't nest here now, we want them to nest in the future, and if we let this go, they will abandon this site. Shrub-scrub species need this little zone. Yellow-breasted chat is another good example of a bird that would use this site. But we've got to maintain it as shrub-scrub. We can't let it grow into trees, and we can't take it all the way back to meadow. And fire, again, is one of our tools to allow us to do that. One of the tools. We have to use, like I said, mechanical and chemical tools as well. This we can't mow at all. If we were not burning, the mowing that we were doing was turning these meadows into grassless meadows dominated by goldenrod and woody plants. We're trying to get a large grass component back. We're not trying to eliminate goldenrod, but we want it to be part of the meadow. Now, I'm hoping this year that we'll get a really strong response in things like butterfly milkweed, common milkweed, which will support monarch butterfly populations. But this is the start. Next year we'll try to burn another 15, 20 acres and another 15 and 20 acres in rotation, so that this area we may not come back to and burn again for another 3 or 4 years. But we're thrilled with the results that we've seen so far. And it's only been a month. We've got a lot more to do, and we need to touch up and do some management before we burn it again.